is always with you. It is you, and it's just a breath away. Oh, it's just a breath away. Breathe, breathe. Close your eyes and inhale life and breathe. Be aware and look around you. Breathe, breathe. Can't you see God is your eternal life? And there's just this life, and it takes my breath away. God is just a breath away. God is just a breath away. Breathe. Breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out, yeah. Breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out, yeah. Breathe.
So Renee Fuller-Davis is going to do our reading this morning.
Well, good morning, CCL, and all of you on Zoom. This is an excerpt from Anxiety to Love by Corinne Zupko. And this is from chapter 4, Mental Illness, Mental Health. But I don't want to go among mad people, Alice remarked. Oh, you can't help that, said the cat. We're all mad here. I'm mad, you're mad. How do you know I'm mad? Said Alice. You must be, said the cat, or you wouldn't have come here. From Lewis Carroll, Alice in Wonderland. The ego, that popular idea of who I am, is actually an insane wish not to be as we are in oneness. We're all mad here because we identify ourselves as limited to a body and personality. These are fundamental blocks we have placed in the way of knowing our loving source. To keep believing that all these fantasies are true, we must live in a dream. Our mind, in which the memory of oneness still lives, is very powerful. Yet we are constantly disabling much of its power when we choose to block out love and listen to the ego. If love is the source of our real being and we're actively blocking it, the result is that, as it says in A Course in Miracles, chapter 10, you always attack yourself first. If you're attacking yourself like this, and you're not even aware of doing so, how can you possibly be at peace? Anxiety, depression, sickness, or other expressions of the other inner conflict must arise. From workbook lesson 41 of A Course in Miracles, depression is an inevitable consequence of separation. So are anxiety, worry, a deep sense of helplessness, misery, suffering, and an intense fear of loss. Even though these feelings may be consequences of the separation, we're not actually separate from love. We only think we are. The memory of who we truly are is actually quite close. Our awareness of love's presence, which undoes the ego, must just be beneath the surface of our awareness to be able to make the ego feel so vulnerable and act up so much. This is why we struggle so hard with feelings of anxiety. As anxiety sufferers, we are aware of the fear that exists just below the surface of our minds. We're very sensitive to the pain and guilt of separation. We just don't realize what it is. Using that awareness, we can learn to recognize our anxiety as a gift with enormous potential for spiritual growth. The fact that we have an easy time recognizing fear is a tremendous asset in working with our inner therapist. We know when we're not at peace, even if it's a very subtle disturbance. So it follows that if we know we're not at peace, we must have decided wrongly, as it says in the Course. And so we have the opportunity to choose again.
Thank you, Renee. Very powerful reading. Very powerful woman. So let's affirm that. Let's affirm that we are not separate from God. We are not separate from love. We are one. Please repeat after me. I live in the recognition of oneness.
I live in the recognition of oneness.
Knowing love as the source of my being,
Knowing love as the source of my being,
I see any inner disturbance
I see any inner disturbance
as my opportunity for spiritual growth.
as my opportunity for spiritual growth.
I choose to be aware of love's presence.
I choose to be aware of love's presence.
And so it is.
And so it is.
Thank you.
This is one of my original songs, and it is called Peace, Poise, Power. So when I get to that part, you can sing along with me. Peace, poise, power. God's love keeps me still. And I think that's also the love that Corinne's reading is talking about, the universal love of God.
I know who I am. I am that I am, the perfect, whole, complete expression of divinity. I know I'm never alone. I am a holy soul, one with all there is. Oneness is my bliss, and the way to faith, and faith is a bridge to grace, and grace is the space where we all receive, pause and breathe in peace, poise, power. Peace, poise, power. Peace, poise, power. God's love keeps me still. God's love keeps God's love keeps me still. God's love keeps me still. God's love keeps me still.
We know that God's love is our love, right? It's the same love. It's only love. In that spirit, I want to introduce you to my dear friend and colleague, Reverend Ken, who will introduce you to his colleague, his friend, Corinne, who he introduced Corinne to us here. And Reverend Ken, many of you know Reverend Ken as our Zoom minister, and he does speak here periodically. And I'm going to turn this over to you. Thank you.
All right. So I'm also the facilitator of A Course in Miracles for CCL. Some of you may know me from that as well. So, Corinne is a courageous woman. And I know that. What do I mean by courageous? I'll get to that. I know that because I was introduced to her really by her partaking in a forum of 4 very powerful spiritual beings who were engaged in a spiritual dialogue about a very earthly issue that we have, having to do with spirituality, A Course in Miracles, and race. While I won't go into that right now, I will tell you that this group was referred to as Love Lens, a perfect title. And when I understood Corinne's story, I understood that her life was fraught with distress in her younger days. I say she is courageous because what courage is, says Aristotle, is a balance between terror and responding to that and action based on confidence. It is not the absence of terror. So that means understanding the human process is learning to deal with that. Not ignoring what is terrible, not ignoring your fright and your desire to respond to it, but putting it in perspective to move forward with thoughtfulness and love. That's what courage is. And maybe we'll even hear part of her story today. That's what I know about Corinne. And I want to introduce you. Corinne Zupko, please share with us.
I don't usually begin a talk in tears. Thank you. Thank you, Renee, for reading. That was the first time I've heard my written words read back to me. And Ginger, you have the voice of an angel. Thank you so much for your music. It's incredible. Thank you, everybody, for being here and braving the winter weather. Oh, it is an honor. It's an honor to be here to speak about a topic that has been a teacher for most of my life and has really influenced my life and my career path. And that topic is anxiety. Has anybody heard of it? The latest statistic that I read is that about 34% of the US population is affected by an anxiety disorder, and it is the #1 mental health disorder worldwide. Those numbers are staggering, and in addition to the stressors and the anxieties that we live with on a daily basis, there's so much happening in our world right now. There are the awful wildfires that we've been witnessing, seeing images of on the news and social media of the wildfires in LA. We have a new administration coming in tomorrow. Some of us may have seen unidentified flying drones around our houses in recent months. There's a lot going on. And what I would love to do in our time together today is just share a little bit of my story with you and share some spiritual principles that have been truly helpful to me in healing, spiritual principles based on the work of A Course in Miracles. I'm no stranger to anxiety. I pretty much was born with it, and when I tell you that my first psychiatric diagnosis came at the age of about 1.5 to 2 years old, I'm not exaggerating. My first psychiatric diagnosis was separation anxiety disorder. I would not allow my poor mom to leave the room, even in our very own house. If she went out of sight, I would absolutely lose it and scream my head off. And while I eventually grew out of that anxiety, it morphed and it changed as I grew. And anxiety is a shapeshifter. Fear is a shapeshifter. I'll say more about that in a few minutes. As I grew, as an older child, I developed phobias. As a preteen, the phobias were kind of the thing at that time. And later on in college, which are an age range when mental health issues emerge for a lot of people, I was no exception. Late in the fall semester of my sophomore year, I learned that a student that I didn't even know died very suddenly of an illness. Apparently the student was fine and at a party the night before and passed away the next morning. And I remember when I heard this, I had that rush, that spike of fear come through my body. I felt terror, could that happen to me? But because it was during the day, I was able to kind of talk myself out of it, calm down. I went to bed that night, and 3 o'clock that next morning, I woke up with what felt like a punch in the stomach of stress hormones. I was gasping for air as I woke up. My whole body was trembling, head to toe. I didn't know what was happening. I thought I was about to die. And I climbed down the ladder of my bunk bed, hoping to not wake up my roommate who was asleep in the bed beneath me. And I grabbed our room's phone. This was before cell phones. It had a wire. I pulled it out the door and went into our suite's bathroom. And there on the cold tile floor, shaking uncontrollably from head to toe, I dialed home. Now, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree in terms of sleeping habits. My mom and I really like to blot out noise. So white noise maker, air filter, earplugs, we've got it all going on. But miraculously, early that morning, through all of that, she heard the phone ring. And she picked up the phone, and she instilled hope in me that we would find help. We determined I was not dying, I was having a panic attack. And she said to me, Corinne, she's like, I know you haven't wanted to hear about this book that I'm into called A Course in Miracles, but I really think it would help you. It's all about learning how to find the peace that is your birthright. Now, up until that point, literally, when she tried to talk to me about A Course in Miracles, I would stick my fingers in my ears and I would say, speak to me in English like you used to. I'm not interested in this spiritual crap. I was a real snot. But this time, it was different. I was at my rock bottom on that cold tile floor, shaking from head to toe. I was willing to try anything. And in addition to getting back into therapy, I said yes to A Course in Miracles. And shortly thereafter, when I was home, she gave me my first copy. And I opened up that book, and I read the first few lines. It said, nothing real can be threatened. Nothing unreal exists. Herein lies the peace of God. My logical mind went, huh? What does that mean? But something in my heart stirred. Something in my heart said, yes, there's something here for you. And I knew at that point that this was a pathway for me. Now, I mentioned that fear and anxiety are shapeshifters. What I mean by that is that if we're not working to heal anxiety and fear at its source, which is our belief in separation from our loving source, our belief in separation from each other, if we're not working at that level, We might be able to tamp down our anxiety and our fear over here, but it's free. It's like a leaky pipe. It's free to come back and spring a leak somewhere else. And how do we do that? How do we transfer that learning from believing that we're separate, believing all of this, to learning that we're not separate from our loving source? That is the spiritual pathway. That is the walk that we're walking, and it's a journey. It's not an easy fix. It's not a one-time event. So before I share some lessons from A Course in Miracles with you that have been truly helpful to me in healing anxiety, I'd love to actually read a parable from the Bible. It's called The Wise and Foolish Builders. These are Jesus' words. It says, "Therefore, everyone who hears these words of mine and puts them into practice is like a wise man who built his house on the rock. The rain came down, the streams rose, and the winds blew and beat against that house, yet it did not fall, because it had its foundation on the rock. But everyone who hears these words of mine and does not put them into practice is like a foolish man who built his house on sand. The rain came down, the streams rose, and the winds blew and beat against that house, and it fell with a great crash." I love this parable because it speaks to where are we planting our roots? Where are we looking to establish our foundation? Is it in this world, or is it in our loving source? Is it in spirit? One of them is the equivalent to building our foundation on sand, and the other is equivalent to building our foundation on rock. Which is it going to be? How do we do that? Again, that's the spiritual pathway. That's what we learn through every choice that we make, every step that we take. I have an example in my book, From Anxiety to Love, which, by the way, is available in the back. And in the book, I talk about how, has anybody ever been in a fun house? I don't know if they have one at the Atlantic City Boardwalk. We've had one, I don't know if it's still there, but at the Point Pleasant Boardwalk. If you've ever been in a fun house, there's usually a room that has a floor that sways. It doesn't stay still. It's moving in different directions, and you have to walk across this floor to get to the next room. Trying to find stability in this world is the equivalent to trying to find stability on a moving, swaying funhouse floor. We can get better with practice. We can find our center eventually with some practice, but it's very easy to get knocked off balance. It's very easy to get knocked off balance. So again, the spiritual journey is about learning how to establish our roots in Source, in God, in Spirit, to find that foundation, to find that safety. So I have 3 Course in Miracles teachings that I'd love to share that have been truly, truly helpful to me in learning how to build my foundation on rock instead of sand. The first teaching is a quote that I'd love to share with you. This is one of my favorite quotes in the Course. "If you knew who walks beside you on the way that you have chosen, fear would be impossible." I want to say that one more time. If you knew who walks beside you on the way that you have chosen, fear would be impossible. Is fear impossible for any of us? Not for me. It's certainly possible. That's because we don't know who walks beside us. We're not aware of the fact that there's angels and guides and that Spirit is with us every step of the way. And so coming to remember that we don't walk alone, again, is the spiritual path. How do we do this? How do we remember? How do we awaken to this truth? Those are our spiritual practices, whatever those practices may be. It could be the workbook lessons in A Course in Miracles. Whatever our spiritual practice is how we wake up to the truth that we don't walk alone. And in my second book, which is called The Clairs for Course Students, and by the way, it is a free download on my website. I'm offering this one for free. In this book, I talk about the clair senses. Now, let me back up for a moment before I define the clairs. In A Course in Miracles, the Course is teaching that we're dreaming. We're not actually separate from our source. We just think that we are. And the Course teaches, therefore, that this whole world is coming from a sleeping aspect of our mind, our sleeping split mind. And the Course teaches that our body is in the mind. What I've found in my journey as a course student is that I can unconsciously associate the mind with my head. And therefore, I can think that guidance only comes through my head. It only comes through thought. When in fact, if we're thinking about this course teaching, that all of this is happening in the mind, the whole body is in the mind. So Spirit is going to speak to us through our entire body. Enter in the clairs. When you have an intuitive feeling, a feeling of love being with you, a feeling that a presence is with you, a loving presence, that is your clairsentience. That is your intuitive feeling. That is Spirit speaking to you through feeling. When you have a knowing, you know because you know. You don't know how you know, you just know. That's Spirit speaking to you through your sense of knowing. That is your claircognizance. When you are receiving intuitive messages through a hearing sense, and maybe at the high end of the continuum that's hearing an inner voice, for most of us, it's creative expression. If you have prompts to speak, to write, to sing, to create music, to create art, to dance, that's Spirit speaking to you, giving you downloads of inspiration to express. That's your clairaudience. And your clairvoyance is when Spirit speaks to you through pictures, through images, through impressions, through your mind. Even the ability to perceive the big picture, to see above the battleground, so to speak, as the Course says. That's an aspect of your clairvoyance. And as you tune in and get more comfortable with your intuitive guidance pathways, these are ways to learn that you do not walk alone. Because if you knew who walks beside you on the way that you have chosen, fear would be impossible. So that was my first course gold nugget that I wanted to share in terms of what's helped me shift my foundation to building that on a foundation of Spirit. The second teaching that I want to talk about is honesty. And when I say honesty, I mean radical honesty with Spirit and with yourself. And what I mean by this is being willing to out your ego. The ego is the fearful part of our minds, the judgmental part, that kind of running tape in the back of our heads that is always narrating something, has a lot of judgment thoughts, fear thoughts. The ego part of the mind wants to hide. And so if we are offering our judgmental thoughts, our fearful thoughts to Spirit, we're not giving the ego a place to hide. We're being radically honest with Spirit. We're not letting our judgment thoughts go underground. We're catching them. We're saying, here, take this. I want a miracle instead. There's a Course quote about honesty that I love, because what I've found is that when we withhold nothing from Spirit and we're truly radically honest, there's an alignment that starts to happen and a peace that comes from embodying that honesty. And here's the Course quote. It says, honesty does not only apply to what you say. The term actually means consistency. There is nothing you say that contradicts what you think or do. No thought opposes any other thought. No act belies your word, and no word lacks agreement with one another. Such are the truly honest. At no level are they in conflict with themselves. Therefore, it is impossible for them to be in conflict with anyone or anything. The peace of mind which the advanced teachers of God experience is largely due to their perfect honesty. So when we find that we have that alignment between our thoughts, our words, and our actions, there's a harmony that comes with that. There's a peace that comes with that. And I've even found, it's a natural human tendency to want to kind of tell a little white lie from here and time and time again. If we want to get out of something, we don't really want to do something, it's easier to kind of maybe make up an excuse than just say, no, I'm not available. And I encourage all of us that when we notice that tendency to want to maybe just tweak the truth a little bit, to just pause and to say, hey, is there a way that I can word this that will be consistent, that will keep me in that harmony and in that alignment? And of course, the type of honesty that I'm talking about is not about not being kind. My sister's outfit I don't like, I'm not going to throw that in her way. This is, again, about an honesty with Spirit, an honesty with your words, your mind, your thoughts, your deeds. And that breeds peace. The next course teaching and the third course teaching that I wanted to share. Oh, one more point before I move on. Those judgmental thoughts are pretty pesky. And there is a course teaching that says it's not that you're going to stop having judgmental or fearful thoughts, it's that you have none that you would keep. So in other words, we're going to keep having them. It's our job to hand them over. It's our job to look at them with spirit, to not keep them hidden. So that's a really important reminder. And the third course teaching that's been particularly helpful to me, in that there is so much in the world to be disturbed about on so many levels, politically, war, the environment. And you and I did not come here at this time by accident. We chose to come at this particular time, and that's a really important thing to remember. I want to share this Course in Miracles quote with you. It says, "Everyone who follows the world's curriculum, and everyone here does follow it until he changes his mind, teaches solely to convince himself that he is what he is not. Herein is the purpose of the world. What else then would its curriculum be?" And here's the sentence I want to highlight. "Into this hopeless and closed learning situation, which teaches nothing but despair and death, God sends his teachers. His teachers are all of us. And as they teach his lessons of joy and hope, their learning finally becomes complete. As we embody the light, as we are the light in all the situations that we're called to be in, no matter where that is throughout the day, even just extending a smile to someone that we pass on the sidewalk, we learn that we are that light. As we teach, so shall we learn. There are no mistakes that you are here right now, and the world needs your light exactly as you are. So I would like to leave you with words. These words were said to me by my stepdad. So back in 2009, I was going through a particularly terrible anxiety episode and a panic attack that felt like it was about 2 weeks long. I could not function. My stomach was in a complete knot. It was hard to eat. I had mascara stains going down my cheeks from crying, from the anxiety being so bad. I was flat out on my mom and stepdad's couch in their home. And my stepdad looked at me, deep in my eyes, and he said, "Corinne, the light in you is too bright to fail." And I say those words to you now. The light in you is too bright to fail. No matter what it is that you're going through, no matter what the challenges are that you are facing, the light in you is too bright to fail. We're going to make it. The outcome is guaranteed because of who you are as a child of God. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Corinne. That was really inspiring. So this song is called Love. It's by Alan Stone. And the chorus of it just says, "Love, what a reflection. Love, it's a natural fact. Love, every bit you create, you give back." Your heart is like a rubber band
When you give, it expands, and you might reach the stars, depending on how flexible you are. This life is like an ocean, and everyone is floating. If you want to find the beach, you've got to start moving your feet. Love, what a reflection. Love is a natural fact. Oh, every bit you create, you get back. Love, what a reflection. Love is a natural fact. Oh, every bit you create, you get back. Your mind is like a flower bed, and whatever you feed your head determines all your fate, whether you blossom or you suffocate. Oh, peace is like a pattern where every angle matters. How you choose to see determines your functionality. Love, what a reflection. Love is a natural fact. Oh, every bit you create, you get back. Love, what a reflection. It's a natural fact. Oh, every bit you create, you get back. Love, what a reflection. Love is a natural fact. Oh, every bit you create, you get back. Love, what a reflection. Love is a natural fact. Oh, every bit you create, you get back.
Thank you, Corinne. Beautiful. Sitting here this morning, I'm really, I'm always aware of it, but I was reminded in a very profound way of how, there are many different teachings in the world, spiritual teachings, right? And they come through different channels. They come through the Bible. They come through the ancient Hindu teachings in scriptures, the Upanishads, and through the Buddhist scriptures. They come through the words of Jesus in the Bible, and through the words of Jesus in A Course in Miracles. And of course, we know they come through Ernest Holmes's teachings in religious science. And in our heart, we recognize authenticity, right? So what it looks like on the surface, underneath, there's the truth, always. And the truth was expressed so eloquently by Corinne, saying, it's love, right? And love is God. There is only love. There is only God. So I'm deeply grateful to know that, and to experience it, and to feel it. And likewise, I recognize it here in this voice of an angel, Ginger. I every time she comes here and performs, I am just overwhelmed with just the radiance of spirit that moves through her music. So that's authentic too, right? We can come here and just listen to our inspired musicians, and we can know truth, that it's within us, right? So it's everywhere once we're open. And, just thinking of why we're here this morning and what CCL is all about in our 30-some-odd years of existence, it's really about knowing truth. No matter what the manifestation is, no matter where it comes from or what it looks like, truth is truth. And we know it in our heart. We feel it deep within our being. And for me, that's where the gratitude lies, and that's where the appreciation is. And appreciation is really about awareness, and it's also about expansion and growth, right? Because real estate appreciates, stock appreciates. We can expand the recognition of love in our heart. So as we go into the offertory part of our service this morning, let's remember to connect with that inner radiance and that appreciation and the growth of the truth of our being, because that's all there is, right? Thank you.
So if you will read with me the blessing of our offering as found in the bulletin. Thank you, God, for this abundance that is mine to give. I bless this gift and give it to thee in gratitude and joy, knowing that as I give, I do receive.
Thank you, Kay.
I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed.
Knowing we are all blessed, each and every one of us, in the oneness that is our true being. We are grateful and we are appreciative and we are in love with each other and the radiance and the beauty and the divine gifts that we receive here today, these gifts and these tithes of oneness and appreciation and community. And in that recognition, please join with me in saying thank you, and so it is.
Thank you.
So as you all know, this is one of my favorite parts of the service. If there's anybody here today for the first time and you're courageous enough to stand up, we've got a blessing for you. We're here, everybody? Nice. Yes. Thank you. Thank you. This is for you and for all of us. So soak it up. Okay? Go ahead, please stand. Please stand. If everybody would raise your hands and repeat after me. Welcome to the Center for Conscious Living.
Welcome to the Center for Conscious Living.
We are a heart-centered spiritual community.
We are a heart-centered spiritual community.
We open ourselves to you in love.
We open ourselves to you in love.
We recognize the perfection of God within you.
We recognize the perfection of God within you.
We celebrate the joyous being that you are.
We celebrate the joyous being that you are.
You are a radiant point of light.
You are a radiant point of light.
We are blessed by your presence.
We are blessed by your presence.
Welcome home.
Welcome home.
Some quick announcements. Yeah. Speaking of gratitude, I just want to acknowledge all the beautiful souls who come here early on Sunday morning to make this service possible. We actually spend a whole week planning it. First of all, thank you to Corinne for coming here and speaking to us today and sharing her journey. We're very grateful, and we hope you'll come back. So Corinne will be here to talk after service too, so feel free to chat with her. And again, her book is in the back there, talks more about her journey. And thank you to Reverend Ken for introducing her, for actually introducing Corinne to us. Thank you. And Corinne has been here before with John Mundy previously, so they're all part of the same community of love. And thank you also to Renee. She always does a very powerful and a very beautiful reading because she's a powerful and a very beautiful soul. So it comes through, doesn't it? And of course, Ginger. Thank you, Ginger. Words can't express, but we're very grateful for your presence in our community. And all the setup people here this morning, Bob and Jane, who set up the room, and who's on refreshments. I see Peggy back there. So after service, we have coffee and refreshments. And June is back there helping too as well. Thank you, all of you. Reverend Ken is normally our Zoom minister, and he's here live with us today. So Lisa Source is on pastoral support, and she's one of our practitioner students, as is Ginger as well. But she has just assumed some leadership as our pastoral support team leader. So we're increasingly focusing on expanding our community, serving our expanding community in so many ways, including our Zoom community. So thank you, Lisa, for stepping up for us and your beautiful consciousness. And this lovely altar here was created by Kay Becknell in the back here. And she was also our usher this morning, along with Chris DeBlois. So thank you for your blessings. And of course, our media team. Keith here on camera, Marty, our team leader, and I believe Wayne is on Zoom with us this morning. And of course, Roz, he's with us for another few weeks, I believe, and he's really helping us to create a calm, sacred space here. I don't know if you noticed the energy in the room this morning, but it's very peaceful, and that's the vision, and Roz and all of the media people, including Reverend Ken when he's on Zoom, and Wayne, they're helping us to create that. So it can only get better, right? That's how I'm looking at it. All right, what's coming up? Our next Mini Monday is coming up February 3rd, so look for that in your newsletter. Our very own Haji, who's a practitioner here, Haji Schreffler, is going to talk about love is my superpower. So that's our theme today, love, right? And Haji is really talking about love in action because of her 12 years of working in Haiti with Love Orphanage. And many of you are familiar with Haji's work there. So do come to Mini Monday, February 3rd, 7 p.m. on Zoom. The link is in your newsletter. I want to remind you about daily prayer, Tuesday through Friday. It's an hour from 12 to 1. And if you're feeling any kind of anxiety or disturbance of any sort, or if there's something on your mind, just come to daily prayer. I'm there every day, Tuesday through Friday, and we talk and we chat and we pray. And it's really a place of peace in the midst of our daily, activities. So you're invited to join. The link is in your newsletter. I believe it's also on our website. Anything else I want to just mention quickly? Okay, the Pièce de Résistance, our new music fellowship. We've been talking about this for a number of weeks, but it's becoming more and more real. An international vocalist and artist named Myra Maud is coming here in early February, and she is starting a choir here at CCL. So there is a sign-up list in the back. If you're interested in being part of our choir, put your name on the list. We have 15 people already signed up. And those of you on Zoom, if you're interested in participating, just call or email the office, and you can get your name on the list. And we will be in touch with those of you who have already signed up. We're actually starting to form the choir, and Myra has created some initial information, which we'll be sharing with you this week, and asking you some questions as well to get to know you better, so that when she does come here in early February, we can already hit the ground running. So more on that in your newsletter. And I just want to point out Margaret, who is here, and she really introduced us to Myra. Margaret, you just want to, yeah. And Margaret really facilitated the fellowship grant. So we'll make a formal announcement about that next week. But this is a wonderful opportunity for CCL and all of us. So many of you have asked for more singing and more song. And it's really an opportunity for us to grow and expand in our creative pursuits, right, through music. So if you're interested, sign up. And Myra tells me that even if you can't sing, or you think you can't sing, and I am one of those people, that she can work with you. So I encourage you, if you have any desire to sing, just sign up and check it out. Okay? Thank you very much. Is there anything else I should talk to you about? I think we're good. So let's circle up.
Can we close the circle? All right, now we're here. Okay, 2, 3, 4. Let peace be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that is meant to be, with God as our power, family all are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my joyous vow. To take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me.
So let's take a nice deep breath, breathing in this service, bringing in the love, breathing in the peace, knowing that still small voice, that love, that joy, giving thanks for this service, giving thanks for the divine flowing through Corinne and inspiring us, enlightening us, enlivening us, knowing that we are the light. Giving thanks for this beautiful entity, consciousness that is CCL. Giving thanks for everyone here. It is not the same without any one of us. We are the light. Giving thanks for the knowingness and the remembrance of the magnificence of who we are. That divinity inside, the larger part of us. Giving thanks for the divine flow, the wings of the divine, that we fly upon through this week, knowing that we are in the flow of the divine, that we are that divine, that this week is easy and effortless and joyous and loving. And until we meet again next week, we say, and so it is.
Let's end on a high note. Something wonderful is happening to me right now.
Something wonderful is happening to me right now.
It is
This
this
thing
called life. Where is life?
Life is in my body.
And life is in my mind. And life is in my feelings.
Life is in my feelings.
Life is in all of my activities.
Life is in all my activities.
I receive it.
I receive it.
I share it.
I share it.
I am it.
I am it.
And I accept it.
And I accept it.
How do I accept it?
Just the way that it is.
Thank you, life.
Thank you, life.
And accepting all of these gifts, we say yes.
What